So Wout Weghorst is a striker who is excellent at being the player to link the attack, dropping off from the forward line, and essentially being what I like to call a wall bounce, which is where one of the deeper Manchester United players will feed a ball into Weghorst's feet as he drops off from the forward line, with his back to goal usually under pressure from the centre back who's followed him. The term wall bounce comes into play here because Weghorst will either then look to take a touch and lay the ball off to one of the midfielders behind him, or look to play a first time pass into one of the players around him, usually in between the lines of the opposition system. And so by using Weghorst as a wall bounce, this works as a mechanism for United to get the ball from in front of the opposition's defensive shape into the likes of Fernandes, Sancho or Fred sitting in behind the opposition's midfield. He's also a valuable asset out of possession as well, and we can see this when we look at the defensive metrics of his FB ref report. He ranks in the 98th percentile for his interceptions, the 42nd percentile for his tackles in the attacking third, the 92nd for his tackles in the middle third, and the 98th for his tackles in the defensive third. But despite sounding contradictory, everything I've just mentioned is the actual problem with Weghorst. The reason he's been getting so many plaudits for what I refer to as the wall bounce, which is just where he drops off and links the attack, as well as his defensive contributions as well, is because those are by far and away his best attributes, which is never a good sign when you're a striker, particularly a striker at Manchester United. Now I do take into account that Weghorst is a stopgap, a player signed not on a permanent deal, but a player signed in January for the end of the season to fill a certain space in the squad. However, after United's successes over the last few months, there have been calls for United to potentially sign Weghorst on a permanent deal. And I think this is just completely nonsensical, even if Weghorst was signed as a backup striker or even a third choice striker. And the reason for this is that I think any striker that is at Manchester United has to have goal scoring ability at the top level. And by this I don't mean they have to score 20 goals a season, but they have to have the ability to take chances when they come, as that's what ultimately is going to win United games. Think someone like Javier Hernandez. Yes, he didn't have the ability to link play like Weghorst, and from a technical standpoint he certainly wasn't an elite level player either. However, the one thing that Javier Hernandez had was the poacher-like instinct to come up with a goal when United needed it most. And whilst Weghorst does offer value in a way that Javier Hernandez didn't, I think his goal scoring ability is so dire that it overshadows what he offers in other areas. And when we look at his FB ref report, we can see just how abysmal he is when it comes to the goal scoring department. Over the last 365 days, when compared against every other forward in Europe's top 5 leagues, Weghorst records a non-penalty XG of 0.35 per 90, which ranks in the 49th percentile, which certainly isn't terrible, but it's not great either. However, when we look at his non-penalty goals, we can see that he's scoring just 0.12 per 90, which ranks in just the 3rd percentile, which is terrible whichever way you try and spin it. This is an underperformance of 0.23 goals per 90, ranking in just the 2nd percentile for this metric, showing that not only is Weghorst not great in terms of getting into goal scoring positions and creating his own goal scoring opportunities, but when it comes to actually taking those opportunities, he ranks as one of the worst forwards in all of Europe. And when it comes to signing a second choice or even a third choice striker, there are just so many better options on the market. In terms of bringing in a striker who can match these sort of defensive contributions that Weghorst provides, I think Giovanni Simeone at Napoli would be a great option. He's 27, 28 in July, so should be about to arrive in his peak. And despite only signing for Napoli last summer, he only signed a 1-year deal, so at the end of the season he will be available on a free. He reminds me a lot of a modern day Javier Hernandez in the sense that he's got quite a clunky style of play, and isn't a player who is fantastic at dropping deep and linking the play. Instead, he much prefers sitting higher up the pitch, playing as an advanced forward, becoming a poacher in the final third, making runs in behind the back line, and getting into goal scoring positions in and around the box, from where he is an astute finisher, and we can see this by looking at his FB ref report, where he ranks in the 93rd percentile for his non-penalty goals, scoring 0.66 per 90, overperforming his non-penalty XG by a massive 0.20 per 90, showing his finishing ability. He also ranks in the 92nd percentile for his XG assisted, showing that he's not only got the ability to find chances for himself, but also create for his teammates as well. And to accompany this, just by looking at his defensive metrics in his FB ref report, especially the sheer volume of tackles he's completing, you can see that he'd be more than capable of filling Weghorst's defensive void. Now I do have a few other alternatives to Weghorst, but I think it's better that I put all of them in a separate video and then come to a conclusion on which one would be the best. And so that video, if it is out, should be linked in the description as well. If not, subscribe to the channel and click the bell so you do get notified when it does come out. As I said in previous videos, I am now doing full video and channel reviews, so if you want me to give you any advice or feedback for a specific video or for your whole channel, you can send an email to atlantisfootball96@gmail.com. But if you just enjoyed the video, you can check the description for more. You can subscribe to the channel and click the bell so you do get notified when the video comes out, and put your thoughts in the comment section below. And you can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram, which will be in the description, for more content as well.